This was not the first time Jungkook made global headlines for his involvement with Calvin Klein, but the after-party offered a sharper, more unfiltered glimpse of his power. Unlike the runway where choreography and staging are meticulously planned, an after-party thrives on spontaneity. Guests mingle freely, photographers chase candid shots, and the hierarchy of attention is not dictated by the program but by natural magnetism. Within this context, Jungkook once again showed why he commands such dominance, not through scripted performance, but through presence alone. After parties in the fashion world are crafted with a precise mix of exclusivity and intrigue. Invitations are reserved for designers, models, celebrities, and cultural figures who bring their own aura to the room. Yet, at this particular event, no matter how many high-profile attendees walked in, the crowd and lenses recalibrated themselves toward Jungkook. The moment he entered, murmurs shifted into exclamations, and movement across the venue subtly reorganized around him. People who might otherwise have been the subject of flashing bulbs were momentarily sidelined, not by intentional disregard, but by the gravitational pull of Jungkook's arrival. It is worth analyzing why this happens. Fashion parties are not new to celebrity culture, and the presence of musicians, actors, and global icons is standard. But Jungkook represents a unique convergence of elements. He carries the prestige of BTS, the global fandom that transcends traditional boundaries, and the fresh image of a Calvin Klein muse. This combination ensures that his presence is never casual. It becomes an event in itself. In fashion after parties, the role of cameras cannot be understated. They are not simply tools of documentation, but instruments that shape perception. Who is photographed most often, and in which angles, defines who becomes the symbol of the night. At this event, cameras did not scatter evenly across the guest list. Instead, they converged almost exclusively on Jungkook. Every step, every glance, every subtle gesture was captured. Observers noted that photographers were not merely fulfilling professional duty, they were competing for the best angle. Aware that Jungkook's images would dominate headlines, social media feeds, and digital campaigns the following day. This level of focus transforms the party into something else. It becomes a backdrop for Jungkook's unintentional runway. Even moments where he was simply engaging in conversation or pausing for a drink were elevated to aesthetic moments immortalized by the flash. This disproportionate attention is not just a reflection of celebrity status. It is also an acknowledgement of his photogenic quality and aura. Jungkook does not need elaborate staging to appear editorial ready. His expressions, his stance, even the natural rhythm of his movement translate into frames that resonate beyond the room. Fashion thrives on moments that feel effortless yet iconic, and Jungkook supplies them without orchestration. While many attendees engaged casually with the photoshoot installations scattered across the venue, Jungkook's participation elevated these spaces into focal points. The backdrop, lighting, and branded installations were designed to highlight Calvin Klein's aesthetics. But with Jungkook standing before them, the brand's vision crystallized. When he stepped into the photo booth setup, the response was immediate. Crowds of both guests and staff tilted their attention toward him. Photographers, already heavily fixated, intensified their pace. The transformation of an ordinary branded corner into an epicenter of the event illustrates how Jungkook embodies the very concept of brand synergy. Instead of the environment shaping him, he shaped the environment. His stillness carried more weight than others' dramatics, and his simplicity outshone attempts at flamboyance. This is where the subtle genius of Calvin Klein's choice of ambassador becomes apparent. By placing Jungkook in these spaces, they ensured that brand installations would not just be props, they would become amplified symbols. His photoshoot moments were not just individual images, they were instant campaigns, circulating widely on social media within minutes of capture. Another striking observation was how fellow guests responded. Fashion insiders, celebrities, and influencers are accustomed to attention, yet even they shifted into the role of spectators. Many paused their own networking to observe Jungkook's interactions and photo moments. Some discreetly positioned themselves nearby, perhaps in hopes of catching residual camera attention. This dynamic underscores a rare reversal. Rather than the room dictating hierarchy, one figure reshaped the hierarchy of the room. It was not about who wore the boldest outfit, who carried the most prestigious title, or who controlled industry power. Instead, the metric of influence was condensed into presence, and Jungkook's presence was unparalleled. Even before the event concluded, the digital world had already absorbed and magnified Jungkook's impact. Short clips, snapshots, and fan-taken images spread across platforms at remarkable speed. Hashtags linked to his name and Calvin Klein's party began trending, reinforcing the reality that the after-party narrative could not be separated from him. What makes this significant is the immediacy. In a world where fashion events often depend on post-event editorial coverage, Jungkook accelerated the timeline. Coverage was not waiting for polished spreads or carefully written reviews. It unfolded in real time. This immediacy reflects the kind of cultural power only a few global figures possess, the ability to transform private, exclusive spaces into worldwide spectacles accessible to millions in seconds. The implications of Jungkook's dominance at the after-party extend beyond brand marketing or celebrity culture. It points to a broader cultural phenomenon. He represents not just music or fashion, but a redefinition of global icons in the modern age. Unlike traditional celebrities who rose within regional markets before expanding globally, Jungkook's trajectory has always been global first. His fandom exists simultaneously across continents, and his actions ripple in multiple cultural contexts at once. At the after-party, this translated into a presence that could not be confined to the walls of the venue. Each click of the camera reverberated across multiple languages, time zones, and communities. This is not just celebrity visibility, it is cultural saturation. For Calvin Klein and similar brands, this moment underscores the commercial value of association with Jungkook. Fashion thrives on creating exclusivity, but exclusivity alone does not guarantee cultural relevance. Jungkook delivers both: exclusivity through his rarity of appearances and relevance through his unparalleled ability to capture attention. The after-party highlighted this dual value. Without Jungkook, it would have been a successful, stylish gathering. With him, it became a global talking point. This shift from event to phenomenon illustrates why brands continue to invest heavily in figures like him. He does not just attend, he transforms. When the after-party concluded, the influence did not fade. In fact, the aftermath was arguably more impactful. Media outlets reported extensively on his appearance, fashion critiques analyzed his outfit in detail, and social platforms buzzed with user-generated content. What had been a few hours of activity turned into days of discussion, memes, and analyses. This endurance is critical in understanding the scope of Jungkook's effect. While many events are designed to capture temporary attention, his presence generates extended cycles of relevance. For Calvin Klein, this means their investment does not just yield one night of visibility, but weeks of sustained engagement. This phenomenon speaks to how Jungkook reconfigures social dynamics. The traditional equality of guests disappears, replaced by a single focal point. It demonstrates that influence is not distributed by invitation, but concentrated by presence. Perhaps the most remarkable element of Jungkook's after-party dominance was how quickly it translated into digital momentum. Within minutes of his arrival, hashtags surged, trending across regions, clips of his walk into the venue, short gifs of his smile during the photoshoot, and fan-edited montages spread like wildfire. This phenomenon is not new for Jungkook, but each repetition strengthens the pattern. His physical presence creates digital avalanches that expand far beyond the original event. What makes this notable is that fashion parties are typically exclusive. They rely on scarcity, the idea that only a few are lucky enough to witness them firsthand. Jungkook disrupts this model. His involvement guarantees that the supposed exclusivity collapses as millions experience the event indirectly but immediately through digital media. For brands, this creates a paradox. While they cultivate elite spaces, Jungkook ensures those spaces become globally accessible. Yet instead of diluting exclusivity, this accessibility rebrands it. The world becomes aware of what they are missing, increasing curiosity and aspiration. Some might argue that the attention Jungkook commands is temporary or simply the product of BTS's existing fame. But examining the dynamics of the after-party reveals deeper mechanisms. First, his charisma operates visually. Without needing to speak or perform, he communicates through presence. This is critical in fashion, where aesthetics dominate. Second, he merges multiple fandoms. Music fans, fashion enthusiasts, and general celebrity watchers all converge on him. Third, his rarity amplifies impact. Unlike celebrities who attend countless parties, Jungkook's appearances are selective. Each one feels significant, creating anticipation that ensures focus remains unbroken once he arrives. Together, these factors ensure that his spotlight is not circumstantial, but structural. The cameras focus on him because every layer of context demands it. Calvin Klein's decision to feature Jungkook as the centerpiece of its campaigns already proved successful through previous collaborations. The afterparty reinforced that decision, while also offering insights for the brand's future strategies. Event amplification. By associating with Jungkook, Calvin Klein guarantees that private events achieve global visibility. Visual consistency. His ability to embody brand values without forced styling ensures every candid aligns with Calvin Klein's aesthetic. Cross-market penetration. His presence ensures relevance not only in the US and Korea, but across Europe, Latin America, and Southeast Asia simultaneously. This synergy transforms Calvin Klein from a heritage fashion brand into a digital-era cultural participant. It moves beyond fabric and design into the realm of identity and belonging territory where Jungkook is already a master figure. Even days after the after-party, the momentum showed no signs of slowing. Media outlets continued dissecting his appearance. Fashion commentators drew comparisons to previous campaigns, and fans recycled clips into new formats. This ongoing cycle demonstrates how Jungkook generates not a single peak of attention, but a sustained plateau. For Calvin Klein, this endurance is invaluable. It means their investment yields dividends beyond event night, securing ongoing discussion and repeated exposure. For cultural observers, it highlights how Jungkook redefines celebrity interaction with fashion. Less about fleeting presence, more about prolonged cultural echo. The afterparty also raises a broader question within the fashion industry. Is Jungkook a glimpse of what the next generation of brand ambassadors must embody? Traditional models offer visual appeal but limited cultural penetration. Actors and musicians provide recognition, but often within specific demographics. Jungkook, however, embodies universality. He operates simultaneously as a musician, performer, fashion figure, and global personality. His appeal cuts across languages, borders, and markets. If fashion brands seek ambassadors who are not just faces but ecosystems of influence, Jungkook becomes the prototype. The after-party was not merely a celebration of Calvin Klein, but a case study in how a single figure can redefine the concept of presence in fashion.